Three players that we feel could regress this upcoming season. We get to that and much, much more right after this on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. You could find us wherever you get your podcast. And please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. You know, I woke up this morning to WIP radio in Philadelphia. And what were they talking about? Why in the world would the Eagles, at what time running down, throw the stinking ball on third down? Are you going to blame that on Saquon Barkley not bringing it in, or the actual stinking play call?
I was trying to set up a middle in that game with the teaser on one side and then Atlanta with the +5.5, 5 and a hook. And I'm just kind of sweating on the phone as I'm watching TV. I'm like, okay, third down, they might wind up kicking this if they do find whatever, but they're going to try and get the first down and game over. And then they throw it. It's like, what?
Exactly. That's the Eagles for you. I don't get it at all. Oh, this is a hockey show. Okay.
Whatever.
Players that we feel.
Yeah, we have FanDuel as a sponsor, so I'm sure a lot of people were impacted by that. There you go.
Oh, a ton of people were impacted by that.
Not to mention survivor pools again.
Survivor pools just got crushed. They just got crushed again. This weekend, okay, the books are way, way, way ahead. Don't ever feel sorry for the books. I think that they are just crushing it because a lot of those plays.
Books are way ahead, yeah.
Yeah, the books are way ahead. Absolutely. Yeah, here in Vegas, those sports books are not going away anytime soon, especially since everyone piled up and teasers and everything else on the Ravens this week. Okay. Players that could regress for VGK this season. So, of course, I have to start off with one of our favorites.
I agree. Go ahead, say it.
William Karlsson. I have to. And I'm not saying that for any other reason other than all of his misfit bros are gone over the past couple of years. I think it's going to take, here's going to be a word I think that Cassidy might use, patience. It's going to take some patience on his part. He's so used to being the VGK poster child, and now it's going to be a rebuilt line, perhaps, that he's playing on. Could turn into the IKEA line later on, but it's him. It's Brendan Brisson, Alex Holtz. I mean, it's going to drive him crazy, and he could wind up getting frustrated. Of course, Lars, as we affectionately refer to him, that's his first name too, reached 30 goals a season ago, 30 assists, Chris. I say no way he scores as many points, and he can always rely a ton on empty netters to try to get him some points there, some goals. I think it's going to be a season of frustration for William Karlsson, and you're starting off with him as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'll start with the qualifier of for no reason that I think anything negative of him. There's going to be some changes, but the changes on his line might actually be better from a scoring perspective. Brisson, Holtz, Dorofeev, however this whole thing, even I don't know if Howden draws on the line. However the whole thing ends up shaking out, Karlsson may have at least one line mate who's a better scorer. Not knocking Mike Amadio by any means, but Amadio was a lot like Karlsson as far as the defensive ability and just doing really well on 5-on-5 and on the PK and stuff like that. But career season last year, 30-30. But what got me, I didn't realize this. Karlsson only played 70 games last year. I didn't know why. I didn't think about that. But so, I mean, nearly a point per game pace. So if he goes 82 games and puts up another 30-30, that's technically regression, but it's still a net gain when all is said and done, I guess. But no, for no reason, like you said, it's a career type season. His goal outputs were 14, 12, and 14 the previous 3 seasons. His assists actually went down 9 from a year-over-year perspective. And listen, if he has a 50-point season, however he gets there over 70 to 82 games, still a great season. Still a really good season. we're talking regression here, and it's kind of hard going up and down the roster finding players that might regress because there's so much turnover. And that's what I got so far.
Okay, from year one, he went from 78 points to year two, 56. We've seen this trend before, 4 seasons of less than 56 points. And I've got a new walk-up song for him there, Mr. Chris.
Oh, boy.
Instead of Dancing Queen, I think he's going to go with Waterloo. Waterloo from ABBA, still, of course, keep it in the fam. And the walk-up song, well, Waterloo means that perhaps you are facing defeat or a setback. So he's facing a setback this season. He will. Waterloo. Look it up, bro. Okay, my next player. Shea, no jokes included in this one. Shea Theodore, he won't have 13 power play assists or points or what have you on power play 2. Done. 13 assists, I think he had on power play unit play last season, 47 games. You believe that he'll be stellar on the comeback trail. I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it at all. I have a source that said that he had another surgery over the summer with his back or something. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Shea Theodore. I know that you think he'll have a monstrous season. I think he could perhaps take a step back again.
I mean, I don't know. I'll push back. I do think Theodore does have a bounce back here. He's I mean, besides Mark Stone chirping every media outlet he can about the media writing off the Vegas Golden Knights, Shea Theodore, I think, has the biggest chip on his shoulder. Shea Theodore is the one who legit has something to prove coming into a contract season. So I think Theodore is going to be fine. I do get the concern about the power play and everything. And I'm not sold that Shea Theodore doesn't get power play one time in the not so distant future. I think Theodore has been stellar on the power play throughout his 7 seasons now here in Vegas in that role. So I don't think Shea Theodore will be kept down for long on the top power play unit. Now, knock on Noah Hannafin, just Theodore, I think, is better suited for that role. We'll find out. My second, and I know regression's already started, is actually Alex Pietrangelo. Pietrangelo, 64 games, 29 assists, like great assist total, but the year before 43, year before that 31. So his assists have gone down. He was a plus 13 and a plus 7 in the previous 2 seasons, minus 5 last year. We're talking a 34-year-old born January 18th, 1990, who has over 1,000 regular season games, 139 regular season games. This is just one of those contracts that in the beginning is going to look a little better than it does at the end. And that's just how it's going to go, unfortunately. And people are going to say, what about March or so? And I don't even want to go down that route right now. But Pietrangelo, he's going to log minutes. This is where Noah Hannafin's arrival is going to help, especially if they separate the two so they can somehow limit Pietrangelo not to getting 22, 23 minutes a night. So not a lot of stats to support Pietrangelo's possible regression, just the eye test. He got beat a lot last year. He didn't look like he did previously.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. And I did not include him. So who else did you have? So you say no, and Theodore, you have Pietrangelo. We both agreed on Carlson. Who else do you have?
I went against the grain and Braden McNabb. McNabb, 33 years old, born January 21st. A lot of partying in January here. I'm January 12th, so I'll be not hanging out with the guys in the locker room this season after the game and partying with them.
October babies, bro. October babies team. Yeah,
apparently. But no. So I mean, looking at McNabb, 82 games. His health has been even 69 the previous season. The COVID year was actually his worst health year. Only played 41 games, but that could have been COVID stuff. I honestly don't know. So maybe his body health was fine. I honestly don't know. 71 games the season before that. 81, 76. So, I mean, his health, like at some point, it just has to slow down. That's all it is. It's nothing negative about McNabb, the player, nothing negative about the person, nothing negative about what he does when he's on the ice. At some point, the regression has to be there. He was our unsung hero last season. Obviously, we talked about that. And I think he'll have a fine season, but it might only be, 65, 68 games. And at some point, there's going to be some sign of wear on the 33-year-old. It's just natural.
I'm going to go with another defenseman who sort of had a regression a season ago, but I think he might continue to regress.
You're not high in White Cloud, huh? You're not high in White Cloud.
I'm not. I'm not a high on White Cloud. 61 games. Remember, he was benched for his lack of productivity at one point. 14 points, 2
In
goals,
Arizona.
61 games. I think his struggles will continue. And I couldn't believe he was playing. He's actually a player that eats up some minutes. 17:35 a game is what he was playing. That's his time on the ice. I think that decreases as well. I like, again, we really like White Cloud, but I just don't know if he's going to fit in with this new structure, especially with, gosh, the golden child. If he doesn't deliver, if Hannafin does not deliver, this team is in some serious trouble this season because that is the absolute golden child on this team. Absolutely. So White Cloud, I say, regresses.
Well, number one, you got Hutton and Korzak, who will have expanded roles when and if necessary. White Cloud, listen, I mean, you look at his game. The COVID year was actually one of his best health years. Played 51 to 56 games, I believe. 3 seasons after that, 59, 59, and 61. I didn't realize it was that low. And I don't think the healthy scratches started until 23, 24. I could be wrong on that. So 27-year-old, November 28th, coming right into his prime right now, definitely needs to start getting things going. Cassidy had a very short leash with him as the season went on last year, and I think that leash is going to be even shorter this year. I think we talked about previewing the defensive lines and what we think they should be, and I thought White Cloud and McNabb together would be a very good pairing. You're going to lessen McNabb's minutes a little bit. McNabb, very good stay-at-home defenseman, could obviously help White Cloud, let him be a little more of a mobile defenseman while having McNabb, behind him and stuff like that. So I'm not going to push back on White Cloud whatsoever. He's definitely regressed season over season. Technically, he regressed the last 3 seasons. If plus minus means anything, plus 21, minus 10, or plus 20. Stop. Slow down. Plus 21, plus 10, minus 3 the last 3 seasons.
Minus
there
3.
We go.
Okay, that's an indicator. Okay, coming up next, what will Nic Roy's role be this upcoming season? We'll talk about that as we return on this Tuesday edition of Locked On Golden Knights. You've heard us talk an awful lot about FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for all of you. So through September the 22nd, all FanDuel customers who bet $5 and get a 3-week will get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Of course, then with the YouTube television base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. That's right. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel this at any time. Of course, we've got a ton of college football ahead this weekend. Everything is in full swing. We've got the Raiders here at home. They'll be taking on Carolina. That team is in a state of flux, and we'll be talking about odds all this week and what have you. So check it out. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, it's America's #1 sports book. Back on this friendly edition of Locked On Golden Knights. I don't know why I said that. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. You could find
Not
us
the best
wherever.
choice of words.
Yeah, you could find a little friendly fire right there back at me.
Yeah, really.
Thanks again for making us your first listen every day. You could find us wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun, and we're climbing up the ranks there. Fridays are WTF with the Friday. Oh boy, already I see a laundry list of WTFs, Mr. Golick. And Saturday, it is sometimes the Chris and Chris Jr. show. Oh, we're going to start it up pretty soon. Is that what you're going to say? You usually jump in there at the end.
Yes.
Okay. So Nic Roy pretty much does it all for the Vegas Golden Knights.
From the Q, Tony. He's from the Q. He's from the Q.
So he's already one of your all-time favorites. At home as a fourth-line center, he's been moved around an awful lot. He has played an important role on the power play, where he was asked to fill in a lot with the injuries last season and in the past. Roy off of a career best 41 points in 70 games. including a career high ton of helpers. I've messed up the number there.
28 assists, last 23, 24,
Okay,
13 goals, 28 assists, 41 points.
I put 41 points and 41 assists
Pretty good.
on my little bullet point here. As camp begins,
Now he needs to shoot more. He needs to shoot more then.
Another Jack Eichel. Okay, as camp begins later this week.
What
do you feel? We don't have the official start time yet. It's not out there, and they're being tight-lipped. What do you feel Wah's role will be this season, especially with all the scoring voids that this team has?
I mean, not to go back and regurgitate what happened last season as far as the trade deadline goes, but would have been fun to see what would have happened. Let's just, obviously, Chandler Stevenson's still gone. Let's just assume that would have happened. Let's assume for a second the Tomas Hertl trade never happened. Now, all of a sudden, William Karlsson can go up to that second line role. Nic Roy can go in William Karlsson's old third line role, and then you either get another center or let Brett Howden do his thing on the grinder energy line on the fourth line, because Nic Roy does have a scorer's touch. He does have net front presence. He does drive the net. He also does things, obviously, on power play and PK. So Nic Roy can be, the shinier Swiss Army knife that Michael Amadio once was, I guess, for this team. And Nic Roy has always been that person. He can play center. He doesn't do it as well necessarily, but he can be on the wing and be comfortable at least. Last year, like I said, 41 points. That was a career high. Previous career high, 21, 22, 39 points, but only 70 games. So you look at his points per game, and they've actually been increasing. 65 games, 30 points the previous season. So this is why, Nic Roy for a $3 million AAV, 3.5 or 3, I forgot what it was. I know I crapped on it when they first announced it. I thought he got paid too much, and it's actually a gem of a contract for the Vegas Golden Knights now. But Nic Roy, I think, could be that 50, 55 point scorer if he was in a prominent top 9 role. Would save the team a lot of money, obviously, when you compare the Tomas Hertl trade and everything, but that's not what we're talking about right now. So what will his role be is what we are talking about. And I think he stays on that fourth line. I don't think anything changes unless injuries happen. Unless now, again, is Coach Cassidy going to throw Hertl on the wing and elevate everything and shake everything up? Maybe that could happen, and it wouldn't surprise me. It seems like the Golden Knights are trying to do that going back to last season, but now with Chandler Stevenson out, one less mouth to feed, so to speak, down the middle.
Yeah, if you score 41 points and 41 helpers, that's not it. 41 points in the season. That's good. And he should have. Did we mention him in our unsung heroes in that segment that we did this summer?
Probably. He should have been.
Yeah, he should have been. Bruce Cassidy likes a couple of centers on the line, as you alluded to. Could we see him move up to that third line as a winger? Could that happen? Is that a possibility?
Him and William Karl. If it was him and William Karlsson on the same line, you want to talk about a shutdown line with some scorer's touch, that would be very interesting. Howden obviously would drop down to the fourth line, which I think is where he should be. Howden, I think 8 and 11, 19 points last season, plays a lot of games, chews up a lot of minutes. I guess we can highlight on that. But Howden in a fourth line center role, and then can Nic Roy thrive and be successful as a winger? That's the biggest question, and I don't think that box has been checked yet. So obviously we'll know later in the week. Not an email list anymore. Obviously we'll know later in the week what Nic Roy is penciled to do, because what Coach Cassidy comes out with later in the week is what you're going to most likely see, how the players come out in different groups. There's usually 3 or 4 different groups, and the veterans are kind of sprinkled throughout the groups and everything. But Coach Cassidy will have the lines together the way he thinks they're going to line up for the first game of the season. Now, there's a week and a half or 2 weeks worth of camp where obviously that could change. But what you see on Thursday or Friday this week is what you're most likely going to see opening nights.
This is Nic Roy had 0 points and 0 helpers in the playoffs. You like that? He didn't score at a time where they really
had 1 goal.
Yeah, they desperately needed his help there for this team. And then here's an interesting stat for you, Chris. Roy averaged 1:38 on the power play. had 7 power play points this past season. So he's a guy that they slotted in there, but I think that's a lot of minutes for a player that is a fourth line player for VGK.
Well, that's the thing. So that's the beauty of a player like Nic Roy, where he gets on that fourth line. He doesn't get as many 5-on-5 minutes, but he's now healthy for the special teams. So that's number one, which is good. And number two, you look at teams that rely only on their top six on the power play side. Now they're getting tired. They're losing fatigue for later in the game. Edmonton Oilers, McDavid and Draisaitl are out there for a minute 57 of a 2-minute power play. That takes a toll. I don't care how good McDavid and Draisaitl are. That definitely is going to take a toll. And you mentioned 7. That's the first thing I was looking at actually while you were talking there. 7 points on the power play. So I mean 7 of his 41. So it means he had 34 5-on-5 points. That's what gets me for a bottom 6/4th line center. So
yeah,
it's good balance. It's good balance.
No,
this is why Coach Cassidy likes strength down the middle, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I think it's tremendous, and I think his role could expand and could grow. Just depends on so many variables this upcoming season. But Cassidy knows what he has out of Nic Roy, and that's a player I think that's an unsung hero for VGK. Coming up next, we'll talk about the VGK rookie face-off. I'm still trying to find the puck. Back with more right after this on Locked On Golden Knights. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights from Las Vegas, Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick reporting. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. Fridays, WTF. Could already get that in your head. A lot of great comments each and every week. That's the most fun for us here on the show. Saturdays, it's the Chris and Chris Jr. show, the YouTube exclusive that will be returning shortly. So last night, VGK's rookies, yesterday, I should say, and not everything's at night, VGK's rookies defeated the Utah Hockey Club rookies 5-3. to close out rookie camp in El Segundo, the place where a tribe called Quest says that they lost their wallet or left it there at least. VGK 3 goals in the final 10 minutes of the first period. Jesper Vikman faced 26 shots, had 23 saves. Bear Hughes, the player of the game, with a couple of goals. Braden Bowman continues his strong play, 3 goals in 3 games. The story, again, has been, I think, of this rookie face-off. I don't know how you feel, but I think the story's been goaltending.
I feel great.
I think the story's been goaltending, even if we can't see the goaltender from that other end of the ice. Carl Lindbaum, I think, is getting a lot of play. He's played very well here in the rookie face-off. Again, they split up the goaltending time, a game and a half each. And so he had in the shutout 14 saves in the game. And then he came back in the game against the Kings. And then he came back against Seattle and he stopped, I think, 18 of 21 shots. But he looks pretty comfortable. He played professionally in Sweden. And would you say now that going into camp, he's going to be listed as goaltender number 4? Because I'm starting to think that they are getting pretty high on Carl Lindbaum.
It's a good question. I'm not against that. Him or Vikman, obviously, and I still don't know where Seville fits into this mix.
Is he still with the team? Okay, you're going to mention him, and he's going to be on the X today. They'll put something there to incorporate Seville to let us know that he's still around.
I'm just saying he's not showing anywhere on cap wages. That's my only argument.
I've got an idea. So the Henderson Silver Knights yesterday, they started the scavenger hunts. So today's scavenger hunt should be find Isaiah Seville. No?
No, that's pretty good. Actually, I like that. So for me, just listening to Ryan Craig talk yesterday, net front presence, couple goals via tip-in. That's certainly something interesting talk about. Craig used the C word, talked about the players developing chemistry and such, and he mentioned he's listening to what the players are saying on the bench and kind of how they're supporting each other and stuff like that. Again, we're talking for the most part players that are years away, if ever, from becoming Vegas Golden Knights, or years away from becoming trade bait for someone else, so someone else can become a Vegas Golden Knight. But the point is, this is the development process, and this is now Ryan Craig's second full season with the Henderson Silver Knights. And Silver Knights not a great year last year. We know that. A lot of moving pieces, obviously, with the Vegas Golden Knights. So is Ryan Craig doing his part in the development? Too early to tell. We're not going to knock Ryan Craig by any means yet. But if a player like Brendan Brisson can't crack this lineup, you start looking at the job that Ryan Craig is doing back there. You start wondering, if a player like Lucas Cormier can get to that everyday NHL role. There are some other players on the fourth line. Mason Morelli. He obviously fit in, pretty well in his time up. So that's certainly.
I liked him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a stick tap to Ryan Craig for the job he did there for him to be ready. So you should have some more chemistry, if you will, between the American League and the National Hockey League in the Silver Knights and the Vegas Golden Knights with Ryan Craig over there. We'll see how that transfers over to a new year. I mean, this is really when Ryan Craig's work is going to be on display now when the main camp opens, to see how well, not if they're doing better, but how well the rookies fit in with the vets on this team.
Mm-hmm. Lindbaum, by the way, has a really good contract. He just signed that 3-year entry-level contract back in June. And so I think they're going to try to develop him as the goalie of the future, as far as just developing someone that's in that system already. We know that they have Schmid. He's ahead of him. And then, of course, you've got Samsonov. And you've got Aiden Hill, but I think he'll be number 4. I really am starting to feel that. What about Joe Fleming? Did you notice that this is his 3rd rookie camp? He's a new Brendan.
Are you going to ride him as hard as you ride Brisson? That's the only thing I got to know, because I know you love Fleming. You like Fleming more than Brisson.
Oh, by far. I hope he gets his chance. 3 rookie faceoffs later. 3 rookie camps. I mean, if he hasn't, he's going back to development camp next season, maybe. Do you think he gets a chance up with the big boys?
Fleming?
Yeah,
I think he's probably a season or two away. What's he, 21, 22 years old right now? Something like that. He's let's see, I actually got the.
I don't want him to be a lifer in development camp.
Fleming's 21 years old. He's got 2 years left at 836 AAV. So, I mean, Fleming definitely looks like he's going to probably be with the Silver Knights for most of the year, just looking at the depth chart here, and so to speak. So that's going to be a good thing. Get a real good chance to see how much he has developed. A couple of contract notes we were talking about earlier in the show. Nicholas Waugh still is going to have 2 more seasons, 3 more years, including right now, at $3 million AAV. Zach Whitecloud, 275 all the way through 27-28. So Whitecloud is low risk. We've seen Whitecloud, what he can do when everything is working out. Nicholas Hague will be an interesting contract. He's an RFA at the end of 24-25. So that's going to be a real interesting and possibly spicy contract situation with Nicholas Hague.
Yeah, it's going to be another exciting contract year as well. Shea Theodore, still no talks at last report.
There's not going to be.
We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. Thanks so much for tuning in around the world. We see you out there. Thank you so much. We really, truly do appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. We do have a lot of fun there. You get to see Chris in his Alaska shirt, kind of flexing on us today from the cruise. You're flexing.
Actually, had a dream. I was on like it was a cold weather cruise, but there was like alligators chasing us. So that was a little scary last night.
That's a little weird.
What do you? But the alligators were freaky because they had like the snow on them, so you really couldn't see them. They were camouflaged in the snow. So yeah, it was a little freaky.
You know what I did? I changed my habits because I was watching Dateline like every night before I went to sleep. Now I'm watching stand-up comedy. So I'm trying to be a friendlier, like more entertaining, let's say, funnier sort of a guy, maybe. I am not stealing any jokes because I can't remember anything. Of course, we'll see you tomorrow right here. Thanks for tuning in for my man, Chris Golick. I'm Tony Cardasco. Again, we'll be back tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights, and please take care.